Here at the Nurburgring, the Formula Renault Eurocup is back in business. Rounds 5 and 6 this weekend. We've been to Monza, we've been to Imola, and now the Nurburgring with the sun shining as well for our second qualifying session. They were out yesterday, partly for testing, partly for the first qualifying period. Now an opportunity for the teams to make their way out on track in readiness for the grid deciding qualifying session. Two standalone sessions for the two separate races, and let's see what this session has to throw at us. It is another very competitive season of Formula Renault racing. We've seen that in the two previous meetings, but now an opportunity to have a look at what might be a precursor for the rest of this weekend. Victor Martins was the driver who was fastest in that opening qualifying session yesterday from Caio Collet, and then Gregoire Saucy. The gun lap time being 1 minute 54.808. The session was due to have started at 10:40. It is going to start at 10:46 to be confirmed. So there have been all sorts of conflicting messages on the timing screen. First of all, session will start at 10:41, and now 10:46 maybe. So we've got quite a bit of time yet before the session gets underway. But they're looking down into the pit lane. The team's all ready to go for what will be, when it gets going, a 20-minute session, which effectively gives them 2 runs. They'll go do a time, quick change of tyre, and go back out again with, as I say, Victor Martins being the driver to keep an eye to. Everybody with the same base car, of course, within this championship. So it's down to driver ability, down to teams to get the most out of it, and the drivers will be good to go very shortly. The way the qualifying system works, where you've got the provision within the timetable, the qualifying sessions are for the alternate races, if you like. So the first qualifying is for the second race. The second qualifying that we're going to have, hopefully soon, is going to be for the first race, which is due today and should get underway at 3:30, just after local time. Championship coming here is headed currently by Caio Collet with 1 win. Other winners this year, the man that's second in the championship, namely Franco Colapinto, and then the very impressive David Vidales, who missed Monza, rocked up at Imola and got pole and won the race and fastest lap as well in both. It was a mighty, mighty effort from the Spanish driver, new to car racing as well. JD Motorsport with a really good Imola setup, and boy did it show. Whether a star is born, well, we might find out this weekend. If the pace can be replicated here, then I think, yes, we do have a real star. Or was it just a flash in the pan, if you like, with that demon setup for one circuit? Well, all, in a way, is about to be revealed. Yesterday, in the qualifying session, the effort put in by Vidales was only good enough for 7th. Now, still not appalling, far from it, but perhaps not what was anticipated after the really good showing at Imola. This circuit, the Grand Prix circuit, the full Grand Prix circuit at the Nurburgring, in other words, they go all the way down to the bottom of the hill at turn 8, 5.148 kilometres long. We're looking at 16 laps for the race duration provisionally, because it's time plus a lap. And last year here it was Oscar Piastri who was the dominant driver. He won both races. Of course, he's now moved on to Formula 3. 67% of this lap's on full throttle, 42 gear changes to the lap. And it is the Tetius chassis, 4-cylinder, turbocharged 1798cc engine, 270 brake horsepower, these cars, and everybody with that same base equipment. Looking into the pit lane, the Bitec car of Lorenzo Colombo, yet to really feature in the top 10, but you kind of anticipate that he should do, because Colombo was in the championship last year. The Bitec team with this fleet of cars, including their new driver for this weekend, Vicky Piria, coming into the championship, another driver that we've seen in the past in GP3, but Vicky Piria comes to the championship this weekend, and the third car for Laszlo Toth, there it is, number 51. That car that you just seen Vicky Piria racing. She takes it over from Nicola Maranangeli, who was injured during the break between the last round and this. So Vicky Piria, most recently to be found in W Series, the female single-seater championship, takes over that car for this weekend as you look at the Eiffel Schloss looming over the circuit. There for the FA Racing Fernando Alonso team is Tijmen van der Helm, who comes here 8th in the championship, and you just see over his shoulder, as it were, 71, different livery, but the same team for Amaury Cordil, Belgian driver, 11th in the championship after the races in Italy. Manicourt, Zandvoort, Barcelona, Spa, Hockenheim, Paul Ricard, and provisionally Abu Dhabi, the calendar for the remainder of the year. But the Abu Dhabi date is a little bit dependent on Formula One calendars and all of that, because very hard for teams, championships and anybody to plan at the moment, with travel restrictions changing, with calendars therefore changing. And although dates are being announced for championships for next year, even that must be a grey area. So the circuit is good to go, I think. You've seen the track sweeping going on around it, and now the start delayed yet further to 10:48. So not quite sure what the delay is for, because we got the last GT session through. There was a red flag, but it was resumed. It wasn't that the session was abandoned, so I'm not quite sure why we have this delay, but the race director not yet prepared to release the cars. Looking down at the ART Grand Prix cars, there's Paul Aron, younger brother of Ralph Aron, winner in the FIA F3 Championship a few years back. The Estonian driver, Paul Aron. Victor Martins on pole position for the first race, and Gregoire Saucy, the other drivers within ART Grand Prix. Hankook rubber on which everybody runs, and that was quite a coup when the Korean brand took over from Michelin. But down the pit lane to Arden, there is Rachad de Geras, the French driver for Gary Horner's team, and he shares a seat in that squad with, in number 20, Alex Quinn, the quick Brit, who was second at Monza and had a third at Imola. And also in that team, you've got Hugo de Wilde, who was a race winner at Monza last year, son of a Belgian motorsport journalist, Olivier de Wilde. But Hugo de Wilde not having the same pace actually after that win, never replicated the pace from round one last year, and has been only there or thereabouts, you would say, over the initial part of this season. De Wilde with 3/8 and one non-finish as his results from the season. So the task is to get better than 8th, clearly. Right, the pit lane is full of the cars that we're anticipating, but we still have no confirmed time to start the session. There in the Renault Sport Academy colours is Adrien David, French driver for MP Motorsport, the Dutch team, and Kai Collin, also part of that Renault Sport Academy. Victor Martins was, but no more, so particularly sweet if he can put one over on the scholarship drivers. Franco Colapinto, ready to go. Colapinto second in the championship, 14 points back from Caio Collet, but David Vidal is a further 4 points back. He has become the dark horse, but needs a good brace of races here. Yes, he had a stellar weekend at Imola, but of course he's starting on the back foot, having effectively given away 50 points, the total available from Imola. From Monza, forgive me, which was the meeting he missed. Right, now the start delayed until 10:50, still for reasons unknown. So, a bit of a puzzle this as to why the session can't get underway. Petr Potacek in the pit road for our ace GP. Teammate 2, though he is in the works Renault colours, if you like, Caio Collet. So there's some tar wall damage, I understand, that's just being attended to. It has been perceived to be more a problem for errant single-seaters than GT cars. So although we got through the previous session it now needs to be attended to before these cars can be released. So we are another couple of minutes at least before we get underway. It was a GT Audi that went off towards the end of the earlier activity on track and did some damage to it, so hence the session being delayed here. William Alatallo, the quick Finn, another of the rookies, second to David Vidales in the rookie contest, and Alatallo, who had a third in race 1 at Imola, a second in race 2. If the pattern continues, there should be a win on the cards here. And there is David Vidales from JD Motorsport, the Italian squad, and he and his Finnish teammate representing this very international lineup that we have: Brazilians, Czech, Argentine, French, British, Belgian, Spanish, Finn, Hungarian, Dutch, Estonian and Swiss, all on the grid. Right, it's a confirmed start time of 10:52, and that means we're only about half a minute away, so very shortly we'll get the cars out onto the circuit. Kaio Collet, fascinating fact 37, has equalled a record set by Stoffel Vandoorne in Formula Renault, which was 23 consecutive point-scoring finishes. And if he can have another one, he gets the record, of course. 24 would be a new record if he can finish in the point, and he should do. Points for the top 10 Formula 1 style. Right, green flag is waved, hooray, cars out on track, hooray. Let us see whether a time of 1 minute 54.8 is going to be achievable, or indeed better. That's the target based on what was set yesterday by Victor Martins. So everybody out on track, or they will come out on track. Maybe one or two to lag back a little bit to get themselves some clear track space. There is Hadrien David. Very gentle outlap for him. David Vidal is biding his time, so they've sat there waiting, and even now they don't want to go out, because in part they want to see what other drivers have done by way of a target time, and then venture out to have a go at it. But also, of course, you want to have the ideal time to chase, but do it in as few laps so you're keeping tyres back for the race itself today. Hadrien David then, from Royan, started karting at the age of 8 and made his single-seater debut in Formula 4 last year. Hadrien was the French Formula 4 champion, also had an outing or two in the German series and drove in the Southeast Asia Championship as well. He had 6 wins in that, 7 wins in the French Championship. So Hadrien David, certainly a man to watch, no question about it. Makes the run here up the hill, as so too now does number 51, Laszlo Toth, that we saw racing for Hungary in the FIA Motorsport Games at Vallelunga. Another event, sadly, that's on hold until next year because of all the travel restrictions. But the driver that was 20th in the German and had a few outings in the Italian F4 Championship last year was 7th in the Motorsport Games in the main race, and looking to follow in the wheel tracks of the likes of Norbert Michelisz or Norbert Kish or even Zsolt Baumgartner, who got into Formula 1 briefly. But Laszlo Toth, a Hungarian for Bytek, one of only 3 drivers that's gone out onto the circuit at the moment. Right, Hadrien David will go onto a flying lap. Yesterday, it was round about your 7th or 8th lap when the time came, suggesting that people were staying out for a bit longer, but this morning, still relatively few takers. Hadrien David's not had a great start to the year, in fairness, learning about a new car. We've got the problem for Ugo de Wilde by the look of it, who is stranded in the pit lane, but Hadrien David, a 7th, a 6th, a 9th and a 12th. Again, it's been a bit up and down. De Wilde needs to get going, looking like he's possibly stalled it, or the engine didn't quite fire properly, so the team has to go to his aid. And there is Hadrien David. So clearly, as you can see, he's weaving around. This is not going to be a flying lap either. Another start-up lap for him. So these 5th and 6th races within the championship, with 3 different winners so far. Colapinto and Collett locked out the wins at Monza. Vidales did the winning at Imola in both races. But of course here, another new circuit for him. 71 on track is Amaury Cordeel. Cordeel from 15th in the championship last year, drove in the F3 Asia Winter Series as well, finished 10th in that, but Guilain Cordeel is his older brother, and Amaury raced in Spanish F4, in the North European Zone F4, the German F4, the UAE F4 championships all last year, 2 years ago rather, and had a win in the UAE series. So again, you see how much mileage career single-seater racing drivers do to gain experience of slicks in the wings single-seaters. Over the timing line goes David. Now this should be a flying lap. The circuit's getting a bit busier now. We've got more of them coming out. He set a time, a notional time, 2 minutes 4, but it was a gentle lap. This should be a lap on which he goes for a proper lap time. Laszlo Toth also getting on with the job in hand, and Laszlo Toth has done a 2 minutes 3.992, but this is where we should now start to see proper sector times being offered up by Hadrien David. Except, of course, as he's on a quick lap, others are not. So Gregoire Saucy there getting possibly in the way. Nope, backs out of it. So he was weaving around trying to get the warmth into the Hankook rubber, but he does let the quicker driver go, which is exactly how it should be, and therefore unimpeded. Hadrien David now blasts off downhill. So already better by 2.5 seconds in that first sector. Purple means the absolute best, so there is the target within that first sector. So there, Hadrien David will offer up the benchmark time in this. Two purple sectors, but in fairness, that's because relatively few cars have done a proper lap time yet. But the target then set becomes a 1:58.475, so still quite a chunk off the best time of yesterday. So David Toth, and then David Vidales currently third, but again, that's a lap time of 2 minutes 5, so there's more to come from the Spanish driver yet. $13 minutes of the session to go, so 20 minutes you get. It's one of these perennial situations in motorsport. People want track time, but then the tyre regulations mean they don't really take advantage of it. And Vicky Piria through there. Third fastest is Vicky. 2 minutes 2.938. Colapinto's gone fourth ahead of Vidales and De Geus. De Geus now 7th, who's just the last improver. Colapinto, I think, yes. Right, Vidales, personal best in the first sector, but has then backed right out of it. So David Vidales backs out of that lap as we approach the halfway mark. Just wonder whether around here a tow might in certain parts be beneficial. It can be at Monza, can be at Silverstone, for example, can be at Spa. But Vidales almost at walking pace there, despite the vigorous weaving. What he has done, by lagging back so much, he's get himself clear track space. But if he's going to start a flying lap, he needs to pull the trigger about now, I would have thought, coming into the last corner. Yep, goes for it. So gets it back into a straight line through the last turn. Doesn't look mega quick, but he's on the money now. So Vidales writes off that lap, breaks the beam, and starts the subsequent lap. So he has put himself 6th. but this is one that should matter as he comes now down to the Mercedes arena. So the Spanish driver 7th for the second race, tomorrow's race, qualifying now for today's race. Swings his way through the Mercedes arena now through turn 2 into 3, that long looping left. And on the power as he accelerates out of turn 4. So Laszlo Toth has done the fastest lap time, 1 minute 57.181. We've not yet had, I don't believe, anything out of Victor Martins, who's on pole for today's race, but he is on the circuit. On pole for tomorrow's race, I should say. Laszlo Toth quickest, now 1:57.1, and 17 drivers have done a time, so everybody is now ventured out. Vidales, absolute best in the first sector, so this on his own, nobody in the way, rides the curb coming out of turn 8, should be a good lap. Rides the curb a little bit, coming out of the Schumacher S's, now up towards the Bilstein curve. Is he still going to be good when he gets to the end of that middle sector? The answer is that the times are changing all the time, because briefly we had Hadrien David go fastest. Now Gregoire Saucy has gone fastest within that first sector. Where in all of this then is Vidales, waiting for him to get to the end of sector 2. It's a personal best, but he's down to 15th overall now as other people are going quicker. He should vault up the order as long as he doesn't make any mistakes. He gets past the halfway point of the qualifying. Into the last corner he comes now, a Hyundai Curva. Turn 16 and heading towards the timing line. Where will this put him? The answer is third. David Vidales then goes third fastest. A 1:57.722. But Gregoire Saucy here is looking good. Laszlo Toth on for his best qualifying of the season, it would appear. Toth is only 16th for the second race out of Q1, but right now he's hanging on to second in the times here for today's race. So Gregoire Saucy over the timing line. Where does that put him? He was 8th, and he goes quickest of all. So Gregoire Saucy goes fastest then on a 1:55.839. Now Kaio Collet comes up to have a go at pole position. He has done the absolute best in sector 1 and sector 2, piecing it together nicely. He's got a 55.8 to beat. Anything in the 54s is comparable to yesterday. And so here is Collet coming out of turn 16. It is Saucy from Victor Martins by 0.2 of a second, but Collet now goes quickest of all, 1:55.738. So Collet, Saucy, Martins, David, Toth, Aaron, De Gueras, Vidales, Colapinto, Piria is the top 10, and it's changing all the time really, because there's another absolute best being offered up now by Lorenzo Colombo. He has just done the absolute best in the middle sector. Lorenzo Colombo for Bitec. So personal best and an absolute best. Goes second fastest, 1:55.770. Now Gregoire Saucy has done the absolute best, number 93, within sector 1. You're looking at David Vidales, who's back down to 12th. Now he's done a personal best, which is good. He's done an absolute best, which is better, within the middle sector. Admittedly only by 62 thousandths of a second, but it all helps when it's this tight. At the moment, you've got the leading 10 covered by less than a second as Vidales down to 14th. Comes out of the last corner, shoots up towards the timing line, breaks the beam, goes quickest of all, 55.566 then. David Vidales with a personal and 2 absolute bests goes quickest, but Kaio Collet now, number 1, has done an absolute best within the first sector. So the very Renault liveried car, the black and yellow works colours there, it is of Kaio Collet. Quickest in sector 1. Works his way downhill. No traffic around, which is part of managing this session to make sure you've got clear real estate. And so here Collet with a personal best in sector 2, in other words, fractionally slower, makes the run now up towards the exit of the chicane, down towards turn 16, into that right-hander again. Nobody around him to get in the way. The cars, as last year, this new generation of Formula Renault running with the halo, covering the driver, breaks the beam. Does Collet, is it pole? No, second fastest, because Victor Martins has already gone fastest. So Collet goes second, Saucy is third, and Vidales is back down to 4th. Lorenzo Colombo, personal best, absolute best. What can he do? 5th currently, as you see on the graphic. Position 5, Lorenzo Colombo, number 53. The clock ticks on down. Personal best green, absolute best purple. The lap time puts him 2nd at 54.991. They're not quite, only by hundreds, slower. Only by hundreds are they slower than the times of yesterday. Victor Martins, though, pole at the moment, pole out of yesterday's qualifying session. Gregoire Saucy also going pretty nicely, 4th fastest as he comes downhill with a personal best to his name. In fact, everybody should be improving sectors all the time now because the tyres are up to temperature. They're running at the optimum time of the session. Fuel load is coming down. The only driver that's not done anything better in a sector of late is on this lap, Hadrien David, who is down to 11th once more. Right, we've got Saucy up the curb. Martin's looking good on a 54.887 for quickest. There's an absolute best being done in sector 1 by Caio Collet. But what about Saucy here? 5th at the start of the lap, breaks the beam and goes on to pole position. So Gregoire Saucy, 154.836. But we're not done yet because we've still got 5 minutes to go. And here comes Caio Collet then, the championship leader, equaling that record of Stoffel Vandoorne with 23 point scoring finishes in a row. Can he go better than that today? So Caio Collet breaks the beam. He should get pole position, but no, he goes 2nd, having lost out a little bit within the last sector. So Martins, Collet, Saucy, Colombo, Vidalis, Patacek now 6th. 4 3/4 minutes on the clock. Lorenzo Colombo here is still charging on as well. Comes now across the line. 3rd, gains 1 place on the grid. 2 personal bests and an absolute best. But it is Victor Martins now with a 154.684, quicker today than yesterday, holding on to pole position. So Vidalis now comes out of turn 16, heads towards the timing line. Where is this going to put him? It keeps him, in fact, 5th. Doesn't move him up or down. Would move him down. That will only be dependent on others, but doesn't move him up the order. One that we've hardly mentioned is William Alatallo, that was runner-up last time out at Imola, and he's also struggling only 7th. But there you've got the order. Martins, Collet, Colombo, Saucy, Vidalis, Patacek, Alatallo, De Wilde, David, and then Aaron. Victor Martins in number 92, no longer in Renault Sport colours, still with the backing of the FFSA's academy, the equipe of FFSA, the French motorsport governing body, comes across the line. Does that keep him on pole position? The answer is it does, going quicker still, 54.444, best lap of the weekend in terms of the qualifying sessions. They've done a lot of testing as ever, had the collective tests during the week. You get 4 of those, plus free practice, then qualifying, so there's a huge amount of mileage, but all crammed into race week. Formula Renault Eurocup with this outstanding history, going back to the early 1970s. Of course, for many, many years, it was a multi-chassis championship, but then Formula Renault around about year 2000 went to single mark and has continued in that vein ever since. Lorenzo Colombo up towards the timing line, then 3rd fastest in the Mont Blanc colours and goes no quicker, stays 3rd. Lost a 10th on that lap, 2.5 minutes to go, so 2 more laps you can squeeze out of this if the tyres are prepared to do it for you. So there is Hadrien David, who's up to 9th now, improved on his last lap. But Victor Martins remains the man in charge, and coming into this 6th in the championship could do with some good results, because Martins has had only 1 podium visit, surprisingly, and that was in race 2 at Monza. Hadrien David stays 9th, gives a suggestion, doesn't it, now that the times are just ebbing away a little bit. 93 still pushing on is Gregoire Saucy, and he's a bit crossed up, yet way wide out of turn 16 there, running wide out of the last corner, comes across the timing line now and is fourth fastest still, doesn't improve on that last lap. He'll get one more run out of this, but maybe the tyres have lost their best now. Through is Hugo de Wilde. He's done a 55.528 as his best and his 9th fastest, but this could be an improvement for the Belgian because he's done 2 personal bests. Certainly gets plenty of column inches back home, with Dad being a motorsport journalist and regular press officer at Spa. The beam is about to be broken. Does de Wilde improve? No, stays 9th, lost down in that last sector. So that seems to be now the undoing of many. They've got good car speed at the start of the lap, but the last sector, which has the chicane and then that tight last right, is where they're losing ground. The flag is imminent. Half a minute still to go now. So there through is 32. That, remember, is the car in the hands of David Vidales. 5th fastest he is, and he's not going to improve on this lap, and he'll be the first to take the flag as well, because that is out. And with 2 slower sectors, even though his last one is an improvement, keeps him 5th. Lorenzo Colombo has just gone 2nd, then onto the front row to split Martins and Collett just before the flag came out. Colombo onto the front row of the grid. Victor Martins has not given up either, to try to make sure that pole is out of reach of anybody. You can see an absolute best set in sector 1. Comes then now towards the timing line. Is that going to be an improvement again for him? The answer is no, but he remains the fastest on a 1:54.280. So he's gone effectively just under 6/10 quicker today than yesterday in the qualifying session for yesterday's race, the qualifying session of yesterday. Last few cars to take the flag. Rachid de Guerras there for Arden. Slowest, incidentally, is Vicky Piria, but new to the cars. Anybody else to improve as they come across the line? Yes, there is an improvement. Tymon van der Helm goes 14th for the FA racing squad. But I think that's pretty much everybody to take the flag now. 1 or 2, in fact, already calling it a session, heading early down the pit lane to save a lap within the rubber. So there, the last few cars take the flag. Session done. 1, in fact, being held at the end of the pit lane. If you thought he was going out again, mistimed it. So Victor Martins takes another pole position, mirroring what David Vidales did at Imola by taking 2 from 2. So Victor Martins fastest from Lorenzo Colombo and then Caio Collet. Gregoire Saucy 4th from David Vidales and William Alatallo. Franco Colapinto 7th from Petr Potacek, Paul Aron and Tymon van der Helm. Hugo de Wilde 11th at the end of the session from Amaury Cordil and Hadrien David. Alex Quinn didn't really get going in that. We never really focused on Alex. 14th ahead of Laszlo Toth. It was quick to begin with, but was then overhauled, but not by Rachid de Guerras nor Vicky Piria, who round out the order. So, quick look at the highlights. A delayed start to the session, but when they went out, initially it was Vicky Piria and Laszlo Toth for the Bitech squad that were doing the lap times. Then we had Caio Collet, Victor Martins, Gregoire Saucy, David Vidales, plenty of them taking a turn at the top, but actually the most consistent really was Martins. He had more laps at the top of the times than anybody else and was there when it mattered. Caio Collet then being the man who came to be 3rd in the end, the championship leader, accelerating to the end of the session 3rd fastest. Lorenzo Colombo taking 2nd right at the very end, just splitting the erstwhile top two. So it was Collett third, it was Colombo at the top as we had a rally-crossy moment from number 11, Franco Colapinto. But Victor Martins takes pole in Formula Renault Eurocup. Racing later on today, but for now from David Anderson at the Nurburgring. Goodbye.